Warm greetings to you, dear students. My name is Tahmida Khalik, and today we are going to do a very interesting chapter which will take you to an amusing journey of time travel. And the chapter's name is The Third Level, which is written by Jack Finney. Let me tell you something about the author, children. Jack Finney was born in the year 1911 and he died in 1995. He was an American author. He was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. His name was John Finney. But after the death of his father, when he was 3 years old, he was renamed as Walter Braden Finney. But he continued to use his name. He never accepted this name. Despite this, he continued using his name as Jack Finney throughout his life. He graduated from Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois, and then he settled in New York. As a writer, Finney's early works were relatively successful, with his first short story, The Widow's Walk, and his first novel, Five Against the House, being turned into a movie, a film, just 1 year after the publication. And then, but he is best known for his writing, like one of his novels, The Body Snatchers, which again was made into a film, which became the hugely popular and influential movie, The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Okay, but one thing I'd like to tell you about Jack Finney is that he is a writer of sci-fi. He writes science fictions very well, and he is very famous in intertwining the reality with the dreams and makes it like so confusing at times for the readers that it's very difficult for you to tell what is truth and what is dream and what is imagination. It becomes really tough for readers to find out. So such a story here we are going to do today as well. And he is a thriller writer. He writes thrillers the most. And now coming to this genre of the story, The Third Level, the story clearly explores the science fiction of time travel. The author is a recipient of the World Fantasy Award. He intertwines, as I told you, or interweaves fantasy with reality in the most futuristic projection of time travel. So there are so many stories about it. I can give you examples. Some of the examples are Rip Van Winkle. You might have heard about this story. Then The Christmas Carol. One more, The Time Machine. And one such example I would like to tell you, very prominently relevant here, is exactly what's happening to Charley. Is if you go back to Narnia, the Chronicles of Narnia, there is a movie, one part of it, that is The Witch in the Wardrobe. So that is clearly matching with the concept here, how Charley takes a turn and then immediately he reaches to the third level. He's encountering something which is actually not there. And the same thing is happening to that little girl in that movie when she is entering the wardrobe, and then through that wardrobe she reaches to the other side of the world where it is completely a different environment, and then she is in the past, years and years, to some remote past. So the same thing is here. We can relate and we can understand what happens to Charley there in the chapter. Now, storyline, if I give you the storyline of this chapter, the third level signifies an escapism. It signifies that how people of modern world, they long, they yearn for some kind of a peaceful environment, peaceful world. They are so much overburdened or oppressed because of the complexities of the modern world that they want to sometimes take a temporary refuge somewhere else. And that somewhere else, then they start looking for these kind of, that bygone days, or maybe those memories, or maybe they want to relive that time when they were happy, they were without any sadness and sorrows. They want to go back to that time. And then there is, the concept of escapism. We try to escape somehow from the harsh realities of life. Yes, this is quite possible. And then he represents here that how Charley is in a world, in current world, which is like full of anxiety, war, worries, fear, insecurities and what not. All of it, which is whatever comes to your mind, whatever negativity comes to your mind, the world is full of that. Fine. So this is how he takes a refuge, or he wants to, he has a desire to go back to the time of 1894, which is actually in his mind that yes, that world, that time was completely free of war, worries and rest of it. This is mentioned the same way in the chapter, the rest of it. The rest of it is to you, what do you think, what do you see in the current world, all that what is existing, all that negative. And he is like trying to, he has that thing in his mind that I just want to move to that place where it is peaceful, where it is calm, quiet, and I will live my life happily. So this is the kind of, we can say, utopian concept, that concept of world, that yes, a perfect society, a perfect world where I can live, where one can live peacefully. So then this thing is, the writer is naming that world which is somewhere there in the mind, in the imagination, or we can call it as the third level. Now let's start the chapter, children, and try to understand what a roller coaster journey is of this time travel. Time travel is like it's some concept that certain scientists believe it. They do believe that yes, it is quite possible, but there are different theories about it. Some people say that no, it's not possible. Now it's completely depending on how you take it as. Do you want to take it as Sam's imagination, or do you want to accept it as a time travel? But yes, of course, this is more tending towards, because the writer himself is a writer of fiction and science fiction. So basically, yes, we can say that this is a perfect example of time travel. Now, if we will look at the beginning of the chapter that is there in the text, you will find that Sam is quite disturbed, and he's telling us that the president himself, each and every person who is there, anybody in the New York will tell you that yes, Grand Central Station has only 2 levels. Anybody can swear on it. But I have experienced the 3rd level of the Central Station, Grand Central Station. How it is possible? And how is it happening with him? So let's find out. He is far sure about when he is narrating this whole story to his friend, Sam is a psychiatrist, and is telling him that yes, this is more like a waking dream wish fulfillment. But actually he is taking it, yes, definitely this is a real experience, I had it. It was more like concrete, the way we are here, the way we feel the things. He was there feeling that things, he was not imagining things, he was not hallucinating things. No, it's nothing like that. He was very much there, and he has experienced that kind of the 3rd level, which is not there, but this 3rd level is there for people like Charley, or it is for Charley here. So now Charley, when is there, one day what happens is actually he is late working in the office till late hours, and then he finds that it is very quick for me to take the subway, and then it will be like faster than the bus route. So this became the reason that particular day. It's not for the first time he is getting there. No, he has been hundreds and thousands of times before through that subway and that Grand Central Station. And he is telling us that suddenly I realized that I have reached to some other kind of atmosphere. I mean, something new. He is encountering the old furniture. He's like walking and taking turns. And then he suddenly realizes that this thing is whole new. This is a whole new setup. The furniture is old, everything is old. And then exactly he's telling us that yes, there were spittoons and they were made of brass. One man was there. He was checking the, he had a pocket watch. He was checking it, getting it out from the waist pocket, and then checking the time. And he is giving us such and such examples. This cannot be given by the person. He's clearly remembering what was he wearing. He has all these things about clothes. I had a gabardine suit. I had a hat. I was wearing a hat. This and that color. So all these things cannot be remembered by a person who is hallucinating or imagining things. So he is very much there, and he is telling us, giving us these examples to make us believe that yes, I was very much sane. I was not mad or something insane. Fine. So then he is telling us that yeah, this has happened to me even before, many a times, and then giving a very beautiful line that sometimes I think that this Grand Central Station is like, it's so huge and it's growing like a tree, pushing out new corridors and staircases like every second day. So what does this mean? This means that many a times, and he's citing some of the examples, that one time I had to get some point at, for example, exit A, but somehow I reach it to the other point which was quite far away. It was 8 blocks away from my home. Then I realized that, oh my God, I have taken a wrong exit. And then at one place he is to reach some, for example, maybe to his office, but suddenly he is finding somewhere in some new building, okay, this is not my office, where have I reached? So this has happened with him many a times before this, but this time he is far sure that I experienced because of that old furniture, old style architect. He is quite sure that I was in the past. And then there are certain more things he's explaining to his psychiatrist friend Sam, that yeah, when I was there in the 3rd level, or I was there on the 3rd level, Grand Central Station has only 2 levels, but now he is there at the 3rd level. Immediately I heard some voices. When I was walking, there was little pin drop silence, and I was hearing my footsteps. I was just following my footsteps, like it was coming to the clap was there, and I was just just listening to my footsteps. But then I realized that, okay, this is all new. And then he is telling him that, yeah, plus I heard that, I thought for a while when I heard some noises coming downstairs, I thought that, yeah, I have reached to, for a moment he thought that I am back to the 2nd level. So this wavering and thinking about these things, that I am on 3rd level, now suddenly hearing certain sounds, the feeling that I have reached to the 2nd level again. So this cannot be done by a sane person. He is very much thinking about that there are 2 levels only. Why am I on the 3rd level? So when he is thinking and asking about these things continuously, these are enough proof to prove that yes, he was not imagining, or he was not hallucinating about the thing. He was actually there experiencing the 3rd level. Then he tells us that further, I was so much sure, I wanted to be far sure about this thing. Then he found some dim lights there, and these lights were flickering. And these lights were flickering, and he just went little bit close and checked these lights. And they were open gas lanterns, open gas, that's why they were open gas lamps, and that is why they were flickering. And plus he is giving us this thing also. Then he found some locomotives also, those vehicles which were completely old and awkward style. So he got a clear indication that yes, then he telling us in the text that then I knew that yes, this is nothing but I have been onto the 3rd level. So after checking the Career and Ives brand of the locomotives, he was very sure that he is on the 3rd level. This is some remote past. And yes, children, let me tell you one more important thing about the dresses. The dresses he saw there were completely off style, were completely old fashioned, and he is explaining almost each and every dress of males as well as females. Females were wearing mutton sleeves, they had their oddly set hair, large hats, and then all those frilled hats and frilled shirts, long gowns. And then talking about the men had gabardine suits, they had sideburns, and they had handle-shaped big mustaches and long beards, which was completely different from the time where he was currently living, or the time he was in. And then he felt that yes, this is the odd-fashioned clothes, all old-fashioned style of their hair, style of their mustaches and beards. So this made him believe that yes, exactly, he is in the remote past, somewhat there in 1890s. But what he did, one more try and one more confirmation to make it, to reassure himself that there was a paper boy, he was selling the papers, he had a stack of newspapers there. He just got the newspaper from him and read it. There was a headline. It was about the President Cleveland. And then he read it and he clearly checked the date on the newspaper. The name of the newspaper was The World, and now it's been years that The World's publication had been stopped years before, and he was very sure that yes. And then the date was written, it was June 11, 1894. So this was the last thing that he confirmed, that yes, now I am very sure that I have reached to the third level of Grand Central Station. Now what was next? He was about to get the it was like a dream come true for Charley, as I already mentioned, that he was very much willing and longing to have such a life where he can live peacefully, he can live without these sadnesses and worries which we confront in this modern world, all the anxieties, all the pressures, everything, pressure of job, pressure of life, pressure of everything. So he just wanted to escape from that, to go and live with his spouse. And they were Louisa, and they were willing to, he was very much willing to take Louisa with him to somewhat there in that remote past, to live a life like that. He had a wish, he had a desire for that. So I can tell you that this is something which is in between, some place which is in between the desire, dream and reality. So this something in between the three. I can tell you, students, that this third level, we can, as I told you, that this was a kind of desire for him to escape from the harsh realities of life. Yeah, everybody, we all have this kind of feeling that yeah, we shall be going away, we shall be taking a refuge, I shall get a temporary refuge to escape my pain, worries and all the anxiety. But that doesn't mean that everybody has this kind of an experience. And plus one more thing, that we can call it something, that it was his desire, dream, and then finally there is reality. So in between all this there is the third level. So that is completely not the reality, we can say, but it's not even the hallucination or dream. So this is somewhat in between, and this is what we can call a time travel. So this time he is in the third level, and then when he is there, he just wanted to buy 2 tickets, one for his wife and one for himself, to go to Galesburg, Illinois. And then when he went to the ticket counter, he inquired of the tickets. He was given the tickets, but the currency he provided was obviously not the currency that was required there. It was the new currency, the current currency, and for them he was like frowning, and he just looked up at him and then said that, "Are you kidding with me? Are you trying to act smart with me? So do you want to go to the jail? So why are you providing me? This is a fake currency." Yes, of course, for him this was a fake currency, because this was not relevant in his times. So then he told him that I cannot accept this currency, and Charley couldn't argue, or Charley couldn't explain the whole thing, because obviously he had this thing in mind that no matter what kind of a jail, no matter what time of the jail, what time and what era, jail is a jail, a prison is a prison, so I don't want to go to jail anyway. And then he ran away from there quickly, because he had no currency. The first thing what he did quickly was that he exchanged the currency. Whatever he had there in his bank account, he withdrew it and he exchanged it with the old currency notes or old currency bills. Then he had some $300 there in his account, and he exchanged it, and he got only 200 old currency bills, which was sufficient for him. He was not in a loss. You know why? The reason being that he will get almost a world out of these 200 these old currency bills. The commodities were cheaper than somewhat relatively to current times. So he was happy about it, that no, I can accept it. This is a good bargain, and he just wanted to go to that place and live a peaceful life. So this was there, and when he was back home, he tried to find out many a times to get that curve, to get that again, that tunnel thing, and then to enter that. He was just again and again taking that route, again and again just walking those corridors, but unfortunately, he could never find that again. And then when he narrated the whole thing to his wife felt little worried about it, that he just made him to do this thing, that no, now you are not going to look for it, please stop looking for the third level. And he promised that okay, now let me, maybe I couldn't get it once more, so maybe I was like dreaming, maybe I was hallucinating or something like that. He was about to accept this. Okay, now let me not search for it, let me not hunt it down. But one thing I would like to say, that when he was narrating this whole thing to his friend Sam, I have to bring in Sam back because now it's his role to play. So Sam, when he was narrating this whole thing to his friend Sam, Sam was initially thinking that yes, how often, how good it will be if we will find a world like this. So he has started liking it, and then he has started believing it. And then suddenly something happened, which I will tell you in some time. But he made him realize at that time that no, it is just a waking day. Yeah, I can accept it as a waking dream, wish fulfillment, and maybe you are trying to escape from your worries. That is why it happened to you. And you know what? You have a habit of stamp collecting. He is giving him the reference when he is narrating this whole story to his friend. He is telling him that you have a hobby of doing this philately, this stamp collection. So this is one example. This is again a kind of escapism. This is a hobby which gives you a chance to escape the harsh realities, and you take a temporary refuge. Then that time Charley answers him back. He tries to convince his friend that how is it possible? What are you saying? I cannot accept this thing. I can accept anything, but I cannot accept this thing, that my stamp collection has anything to do with my this kind of experience. Even he is giving him two examples, one from his grandfather and second of President Roosevelt. They both had habits of or hobbies of collecting stamps. Then he is making him understand, do you want to say that my grandfather, who was living a peaceful life, he was happy and jolly person, how could he and why would he need to escape? Okay, fine, I don't need to escape. Everybody is in need of such an escapism. Maybe I can accept as a modern person, but what about my grandfather? He was a happy and gay person. Why would he need to take a refuge? Why would he need to take a temporary shelter? And what about President Roosevelt? I mean, he gave us such a glorious victory in the war. How can he be hallucinating? Do you want to tell that every person who is doing this stamp collection is a kind of insane, or he is hallucinating things? Now coming back to this point, that Sam, he was promising his wife that no, I will never go back to search for the third level. The moment he was promising, something unusual happened, children. And there was like, they got to know that Sam goes missing. I mean, Sam is missing. Where is he? So he disappeared. And then suddenly when he disappeared, now both the husband and wife, as a good friend, he just started off to, he just went to find him, to find a clue about him, tried to search him, and then all was in vain. They couldn't find a clue about where Sam is, and they had no idea. Finally, at one day what he was doing something with all his stamp, whatever the stock of stamps were with him. One day when he was doing something with his, he was just searching his stamp collection stock, he just found one odd one out envelope there, and that envelope shouldn't have been there, as he himself said. He is saying in the text that it shouldn't have been there. Why? Because this was for his grandfather. The address was his grandfather's, and then he just picked it up, and the date was written like the date was 1894. And now he is trying to find it out that yes, what it is. So children, before you understand what's happening here, what they do, they make the first day covers. Anyone who is in the hobby of philately knows this thing, that it's a huge term. It's not only about collection of stamps, it's about the postal history, it's about everything, every event that is related with these stamps. So now what do they have to do is they have to create those first day covers. Now what is this first day cover? It's like whenever a new stamp is released, these stamp collectors, what do they have to do? They do have to use this and paste this stamp on an envelope and put something like a blank sheet of paper there in that envelope, and then post it to themselves. You know, why is it done? It is done just to get that postal stamp and date from the post office, which is very, very required, and that makes the stamp very authentic. Then and only then they can be called as authentic stamps with authentic dates. So that date, to get that date, they will have to create these first day covers and send them back to themselves only. Everybody does that, and this is how it is done. But they never open again these envelopes. They remain like this. So this is how it is done. So when he was checking these first day covers, as I mentioned, he found some odd envelope there. and he opened it. He thought of opening it and he opened it, and to his surprise, there was a letter, there was a note, a proper letter from Sam to him. And he was writing, he has written cleverly this letter to his grandfather's address. Thinking that Charley lives in his grandfather's house, he has cleverly written the address of that very house, which is Galesburg, Illinois. And then finally it reached to him, and then he is very surprised to find out that yes, this letter is coming from Sam, and he is mentioning each and everything, that yes, that when you were narrating this whole story to me, I started wishing like what if this will come true one day, and then I suddenly started believing you, and then finally one day I was literally there, and I had, when you told me the whole story about the old currency and all, so I had all these arrangements made, and now I am enjoying a very beautiful life there at 3rd in Galesburg, Illinois. So he's back to 1894, and the letter is mentioning the date of 18 July 1894. So this is how the story ends. But before that, just to reconfirm each and everything, what Sam does is he actually goes to the bank, to the bank and the exchanger, the money exchanger stalls, and he confirmed that yes, truly he has withdrawn all his money, whatever there was in his account, and he had changed all his the new currency bills to the old currency bills, and he was now there at the 3rd level somewhere. And then he was very much sure that yes, Sam always was talking about starting some fodder business, and then he might have started this fodder business there, and he must be happy. Why fodder business? Why things like that? Why these fertilizers to sell for the farmers and all, business of farming related stuff and these stuff, because there was no need of psychiatrists for them. People hardly were psychologically depressed, or people hardly were depressed. So they were hale and hearty. Why do they need a psychiatrist? So thinking and considering all these things, he had well planned, and he was already there. So this is how the story ends up. Before ending the chapter, there must be a question in your minds, that why is actually he taking up this all 1894 time? Why 1890s? Why not some other time, 19 something, or 1940, 45, 47, why not that date? Why particularly this time? Because this time is like before any world war. This is a time when there were hardly any wars going on, especially these world wars and all. So it was like years and years to world wars. So this was the most peaceful and sorted and settled time and settled lives. People were living very peacefully there. They had enough time, whale of time to spend with their neighbors, relatives. They had that customs of going, just going and meeting people frequently, enjoying outings, and they had enough time to enjoy their life. But now these days, what kind of life do we live is we hardly know who is the second door neighbor, who is the next door neighbor, who is the next person besides me. So this is how it is. And that is why he was wishing to go to that era. Now, in conclusion, coming to the themes, children, let me tell you that what is the prominent theme of the chapter is like how modern man is stressed out. He is oppressed by the complexities of the modern world, all the war, worries, fear, whatever is going on, all these anxieties, mental stress, and these things are like they add up to his being unhappy, and he is not able to handle all this pressure. So sometimes what we do is actually we try to find out a temporary refuge, or we can say that we try to find out an alternate world where we can go and where we can live, even though it's for a short while. Then we try to find out, and if you remember in your chapter a poem, that is Aunt Jennifer, how she is weaving the tapestry, that's again an alternate world, creating an alternate world. And then think of beauty, thinking about all these things that will bring happiness to you. So this kind of an escapism, this kind of that I do need to have this kind of a world. What a blissful period, it was like the World War I was years, like 20 years yet to come, and then for the Second World was like 40 years yet to come. So what a blissful period, what a happy environment, what a happy time for for those people to live in. So that is why he was wishing to be a part of that time. And now, after giving the theme, let me quickly revise the children that this is very important to understand that how this is for the protagonist. This is a real life experience. Otherwise, this is a pendulum which is like shifting in between the past and the current time, the present and the past. The pendulum is shifting in between the past and the present. But the protagonist Charley has a real life, for him it's a real life experience. And a third and very important point is that it's an amalgamation of how beautifully Jack Finney is intertwining the reality with a kind of we can say imagination, with a kind of dream, and then mixing the two elements beautifully so that it appears like this, and we are at times very bewildered and very difficult for us to believe that is this really happening. And there are so many examples, as I quoted before also, that he is thinking about his wife, he is very sane, he is thinking about his clothes, he's giving us all these explanations, and then this is how he is, how Jack Finney is taking past and present together. He is in the third level, but he is remembering his marriage, he is remembering, he remembers his wife, and then getting the ticket for him, so he is checking the facts, he is checking, then keeping all these things in mind. So this is the interweaving of past and the present. This is beautifully done, and hats off to the writer Jack Finney. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture, children. Take care of yourselves till we meet next. Bye bye and take care.